It's all right. We're starting now.
Let's do it.
Gatorade bottle.
It's Facebook and YouTube. So
sweet.
Maybe you'll be
famous
famous,
Gatorade
maybe not.
bottle. You guys hear me good?
Yeah, I hear you
Yeah.
perfect, dude. No echo,
You need to
nothing.
turn on a light though, bro.
Huh?
This man's in the shade.
I got like 50 lights around me.
Can't see anything.
Show you my camera. I just got to get them closer, I think.
What's the Facebook
You got to
group
turn that
called?
aperture up.
Say it again.
Level Up Real Estate.
Yeah, I think that's what I have down, Chandler. I think I have that. I
What?
accidentally touched it.
Your aperture or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Yeah. But we'll get started in just a second here. Let a couple of people roll in. Dude, my Wi-Fi is just doing terrible today, so it's hopefully stays through, holds on strong.
Typical bullshit.
I know. Level Up Real Estate.
What happened?
Do I need to
do
I need to pay to get in?
No, it's
no.
free.
You just gotta get it. You gotta fill out those things here.
Yeah, you gotta fill out all your questions, right? It's a questionnaire.
Gotcha.
Heck yeah. So, all right. Well,
we got.
Gino, you got that sick wooden brick background.
Yeah, I painted it
in a dark alley. You hanging in an alley or what?
Yeah, I'm
in
in the back
an
of the
insane
projects.
asylum in here.
I'm in the projects.
But all right, let's get into it. So today we got Jimmy Vreeland on, the legend, former Army Ranger, absolute amazing entrepreneur in the real estate industry. So, I just can't wait for him to get his blue belt and just, when we're at CG Premier and I choke him out. So,
I'm actually heading to go roll right after this.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
When do you get your blue belt?
Looking like June or July.
Hey, I like that.
You still can beat Chandler.
So Jimmy, you're probably gonna be able to choke me out. I don't know any submissions, so.
Yeah, I do all right with wrestlers for like their first month, and then they get acclimated and then just start destroying people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I bet. Well, but all right, Jimmy, you want to give yourself a little introduction of what you've done and how you gotten into real estate?
Sure. So yeah, my name's Jimmy Vreeland. I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. I went to West Point for college. I went to Ranger School after college, and then I headed off to Iraq twice. In Afghanistan once. And my first trip to Iraq, I actually read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I was like, I got to figure this out. I got to do this. So when you're deployed, you get paid a lot more because you're in a combat zone and you don't pay taxes. So I was actually sending all my money home to my brother and mom, and I started buying real estate like 05, 06. And so I just was like, I was captivated by that idea. Once your cash flow is greater than your expenses, you're actually wealthy. And so I just I'm not a planner. I'm not a detail guy. I'm just like a fire ready aim person. And so I got out of the Army in 08, and I had bought in 2005. I bought 2 houses, 2006, 2007, 2008. I kept buying 2 houses every year. Came home in 08, got married in 09. My first kid Maria came in 2010, had another kid 2012, had another kid 2014, another kid 2015.
God,
and
he went quick.
I already
ended. That's right.
And so I kept buying 2 houses a year. And so I got like to 20 houses in 2016. The corporate world was kind of a grind for me. And I still had that vision of cash flow greater than expenses. And then 2015, I figured out how to raise private money. Or 2015, I figured out how to raise private money. I bought 60 houses. And then 2016, I was kicking off enough cash flow that I was able to quit my job.
Hey, congrats.
Thanks. And then 2017, I got a little cash poor and house rich. And right about that time, I learned how to start managing properties. And then I learned how to start educating buyers. And we're 2 other business partners. I formed CashFLow Tactics. And so now our main business line is turnkey rental. So busy professionals looking to get into real estate, kind of like me in the Army. I couldn't manage it myself. So that's kind of our avatar. Somebody who wants to get into real estate, doesn't want to do it active, already has a good income, and wants to start getting the advantage of real estate, which is appreciation, cash flow, leverage, and the tax advantages. And then then I had to start wholesaling so I could get more inventory for turnkey. So we also do some wholesaling.
Nice. I like that. So when you were buying houses back in like 2005, 6, 7, and did the 2008 crash like affect you at all?
It scared me. But so
Yeah.
like, dude, my first day out of the Army was like the day Bear Stearns went down. And like,
Oh,
I didn't understand anything about money or the economy. Like I had spent the last 4 years fighting a war, but I was just like, maybe I should have stayed in. But it proved to me, like, there's one thing you guys, I believe there's one thing you need to do to be viewed as a genius real estate investor. And you know what it is?
Let's hear it.
I'm guessing.
Do it for 10 years. You just have to do it for 10 years. Like, real estate is a bad haircut. Time will solve all problems. So, all the stuff I bought in 05, 06, 07, at the top of the market, like, sure, 08, 09, 10, 11, it was like, oh my God, they all cash flow. Yeah, the asset value was down, but it continued to cash flow. So I didn't care because I got into it for cash flow. So, hindsight's 2020. What I realized is when you're playing a game, you can win 4 ways. It doesn't really matter in the crashes. And then, the crash properties were awesome that I bought. Like since then, those have doubled in value.
God. Mm-hmm. Tell me, Jimmy, though, so I think it's interesting. So while you're over there in Iraq and Afghanistan, you were buying these houses. How did that happen? Like, tell us about the first deal. How are you finding them, and how are you managing them being, like 5,000 miles away?
My brother was in medical school, and he, I called home to him, and I was like, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then my mom saw it on Oprah or something. So they were all about it. And I have a distinct memory, like interest rates were like 6.5%. My mom was like, interest rates will never go lower than this. We got to buy now. And so I was just wiring money to them, and they were buying.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah. Just getting after it.
So were they doing
That's
inspections and everything, Jimmy?
Yeah. Yeah. And like my brother's a smart guy. Like, you know what I mean?
The medical,
yeah, he wasn't going to get hosed by anybody. Like we had a couple bad buys in the beginning, a couple family arguments, this one flip, like my mom put too many cam lights. We went over budget. So like we didn't talk for like 3 months, but real estate's like it's like a bad haircut, dude. Like time will solve it all.
Just keep going. I like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like that. So
hold on, Chandler. How are you finding them? How are you finding them?
This was the MLS back in the day. Like we were buying them fully rehabbed. There's one neighborhood in the city. And then so our tenants, my mom had a great idea. She's like, why don't we get 3 med students for one house and get triple the rent? And so my brother, all these people would come in from out of state at the beginning of every new med school year and didn't know anybody, there's no student housing for medical students.
Yeah.
And so they would put ads out and get all the new medical students to lease out the houses.
Heck yeah.
That's good. Cash flow was good off that. So you've been pretty quick. So then you got out of the military and you went into corporate. And what were you doing corporate?
Medical sales. So I would like knee and hip replacements, the metal and plastic that go in people. I was selling those.
Gotcha.
And so Rich Dad Poor Dad, he said he got out of Vietnam and his rich dad said, hey, go learn how to sell if you want to be wealthy. So like I was just trying to do that plan. And then there's a bunch of recruiters and headhunters for people looking for junior military officers. And the guy my headhunter was also an Army football player. And he was like, hey, your brother's in medical school. You want to sell. Why don't you sell medical supplies? That makes good money.
Yeah.
And he hooked me up with another West Point football player who was running the division in St. Louis. So I got, I got pretty hooked up all the way. It's been very lucky.
Wait, Jimmy, a little side question. Were you an officer?
Yeah. I ended as a captain.
So what is that? 07?
03.
I don't know anything. I went on a guess.
Yeah.
03, gotcha. So big captain. I like that.
What kind of authority do you have as a captain? Just completely off topic, but kind of curious.
More than a lieutenant, less than a major.
Yeah, exactly. One rank up and down.
Right.
Hey, there you go. I don't know any of those, so I guess
like being lieutenant and
good enough for
captain
me.
was awesome because there was no desk jobs. Like you're still in the field, you're still with soldiers, like you were still fighting. It was awesome.
Gotcha.
Cool.
But you're running like a battalion or whatever, I'm sure.
I was actually what's called a fire support officer. So I would go out with the infantry and I would be talking to all the aircraft above me. So if we ever had to bring in air cover, I would like one radio, I had all the dudes on the ground. They'd be like, get down. And then the other radio was the pilot's like, shoot here, don't hit us.
Hey, I'd love to see a movie on that.
But it was an awesome job.
No, it sounds
That's
like
sick.
like some adventures.
Yeah, it sounds like something they make a movie about for sure. What kind of what do you feel like was some key things the military taught you that like are super successful or made you super successful in like the civilian life?
Just like work ethic, and then even just the ability to get knocked down and not really get phased.
Mm-hmm.
Like like Ranger School was the worst, and it sucked. But like, so my worst day in real estate is always better than my best day in say Ranger School or Iraq. So like when I catch myself whining and being a little bee, can we curse on this? Or
I mean, you can do whatever you want.
I should be able to. I could probably do this naked. You guys wouldn't care, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah, it's like the ideal scenario.
Yeah, like my podcast, like we got kids listening and family, so I try to keep it a little cleaner.
This one's a free reign. You say whatever you want.
Yeah. Don't be just slinging out F-bombs like every 10 seconds, just in case my mom watches. I don't want her to think that my friends are all.
I don't want to offend Taylor's mom if you're watching. I'm sorry about the curse word.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all good. She's not watching, I don't think. But so, anyways, fast forward to you learn how to raise private money. You're buying 2 a year, then you learn how to raise private money, and at this point, you're still in your medical sales job. So, like, what was your reasoning behind the 60 units and like wanting like how did that all come into fruition?
Yeah, so I called it my strike number. So I was doing pretty good in corporate sales, but my tax liability, I was keeping half. And I was like, dude, I just jumped out of planes for these guys. I just spent 5 years getting blown up. Like I volunteer to do anything for my country. But when they come in and say, no, I'm taking this from you, that was unacceptable to me. And so I just kept looking for ways to not only maximize my income, but keep what I made. And so real estate did that for me. And so me and Susie mapped out our expenses. We needed our comfortable, like St. Louis life, we needed $7,500 a month to live comfortably. And so I was making, what's the quick math on that? I was making like $250
That's like
to $3
grand. Yeah.
Or no,
okay.
I was making $250 to $300 per house cash flow. And so what's 60 times 300?
18,000.
Yeah. So that was 2 to 3 times that we need to live comfortably. And so once I hit that number, and then I was also double dipping for a long time, right? Like, the better I got at real estate, the better I got at the corporate world. Like I was in momentum in both places. And so I was double dipping, and then I would work harder in real estate and kept pulling back at corporate and just trying to get fired. And that was a really fun 6 to 9 month journey of really like, you guys ever seen Office Space? It's a whole movie about a guy trying to do his worst to get fired. And so that period was awesome. And then finally, like one day my boss was like, you care so much more about your real estate than this job. And I was just silent. I was just like, well, what do you want me to do? Lie to you? I was like, absolutely. I care more about something that I own than a business I don't own.
Yeah.
And so what was the original question? Did I answer the question?
Yeah. Like how'd you get to 60? Like, why did you want to do that?
Yeah. So the main thing was that strike number. Could I get my, like back to Rich Dad Poor Dad, could I get my cash flow to equal my expenses?
Yep.
And like, it wasn't like you guys own rentals, until they're paid off, it's really not mailbox money, but it gave me enough of a beachhead to do it full time where my family was protected.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you got extra money coming in, and you got enough to scale each month coming in extra.
Yeah, and then once I was able to dedicate full time to my own business, that's how Turnkey started. The education company started. You know, that type of stuff.
So were you self-managing it? I mean, we're going to talk about your turnkey, but you were self-managing the 60 units. That's how you learned how to manage?
Yeah, that was miserable, dude.
I can only imagine, too. What were the price points on these homes?
So like, this is like 2004, 13, 14, 15, and everybody's still shell-shocked from 08 and scared, right?
Yeah.
Like I sold one yesterday. We picked it up at 35, and I think I sold it for 115 last week.
God bless.
Nice.
Now we did a rehab and everything on it, and it's not like I'm a genius. I've just done it long enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How long was that one? That was the one. 7 years. 8 years. That one. Hold.
Probably 6-7 years. Like you guys know, the median home price in the United States has doubled every 20 years since 1953, right?
I do now.
I did. Yeah, I was gonna say that's news to me, but thanks for that.
Yeah, so something doubling, and dude, that's to include between 2000 and 2020. Like even with the greatest crash of all time, it still recovered fast enough in 20 years to double.
God.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. So you get the 60 units, and like you said, it's a headache to manage all of that. Like what happened to, like when you went full time? Like, you got fired, then you go full time. Like what happens next?
Then I had to do I had to build a team, man. The stuff you guys talked about at CG Select. I had to, start hiring people, and that was, I was able to. Once we got to like 5 people, I started having fun again, because it was just like being in a squad in the military. Like right now, we got like 25 people, and I love it. Like I love being part of a team. I love working as a team, but like 1 to 5 was miserable. Like because when in corporate sales, I was like a lone individualist. Like it was solo. It was commission only. It was all on me. So like some of those skills kind of went backwards, but I was able to rely on what I learned in the military to start building the team again. And then once we got over 5, it was fun again.
Yeah. What made it fun about the 5 people? Was it just the fact that it was team, or is it just the fact that you didn't have to deal with as much BS?
Both.
Yeah, that's reasonable enough. So like, because I think team building is hard. It's a pain in the ass actually sometimes. So like, what are some of the key?
Yeah, it's the best and worst thing you'll ever do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For Other sure. Than so like, what are some of the... You guys are too young for that.
Yeah, Chandler had that good question for you.
That's a legendary moment right there.
Too young for that, but all right. So
yeah,
let's talk about it. What are some ways? I mean, obviously you're in the military, so you're leading. I mean, not necessarily having to lead someone, but you were with the squad. So what were some good tips that you learned, that helped you out?
Just be honest and be a good dude. Like watch your buddy's back. Because you're going to need your back to be watched too. So build that trust. And then also, I guess the word's like be authentic, but like don't roll around. You got time for a quick story?
We got plenty of time. We got 40 minutes.
All the time in the world.
So my oldest daughter's 11, right? And like she's a tyrant. And so she wants to like yell at people and tell people what to do, especially her brothers, right? And I'm like, dude, like you see me at work, you ever see me yell at anyone? Like you ever see me tell people directly what to do? She's like, no. And I'm like, that's not how you get people to respect you. That's not how people get people to want to do anything for you. And so like the lesson learned is like, don't lord your authority or your position over anybody. Like they're as valuable to the team as you are.
Yeah.
And you'll see like in the special operations, it's not a bunch of guys yelling. It only happens on movies. It's like quiet professionals.
Like just very direct communication, calm, like that kind of stuff, or is it like?
Yeah, like you can be very direct and not yell. you can be very indirect and yell.
Mm-hmm. It's just
ask the right questions.
Yeah. Like the way I like to lead now is just like, hey, this is what you said you wanted to do. You're either, I'm noticing you might be off track. Like, what do you want to do to get back on track so we can get you to where you want to go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's huge. Like you did an accountability presentation in CG, and I think if you want to share with some of their things on accountability, I think it'd be super valuable for not only just for everyone listening, because I think accountability is a hard thing to do, and it's like a learned skill.
Yeah, my job as a leader, and like it's something I take a lot of pride in, is like my job as a leader is to get the team and the members of the team to perform their best. And like whatever I can do to help them perform their best, I'm happy to do it, whether I mean staying up late and coaching them. But like it's not the hardest thing with like leadership I have found is like having to have those direct, hard conversations. Like, I know what you want. You told me this is what you wanted and you're off track. And like, do you want to get back on track? And then there's some people who aren't capable of getting back on track. And then some people, they find out they don't want it. And then at that point, you got to protect the team. And if they're not willing to get back on track, you got to say goodbye to that person.
Gotcha.
But there's only true accountability is people keeping accountability themselves, because it's 2022. You can't yell and bark at people anymore.
Yeah, it's not the military.
No.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you could ever really have gotten away with it back in. I think there was a myth in the 50s you could do that to people.
If your name is Dan Pena.
Right. Well, like to me, that's the fun part is we're watching people become confident on when they hold themselves accountable to what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, how do you develop for someone on your team? Like, how are you coming up with or helping them come up with what they want, or how does that all happen? Because you start with you're reminding them of what they want, like where they're at on that path to get there. Like, how do you even get to what their destination is, their outcome that they want?
Like every quarterly review, I just start the conversation. What do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want?
Okay.
And I'm very direct about it. Human beings are not good at answering that question. Like I was like probably 40 before I could answer that directly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say it's a hard question to answer.
Yeah, because a lot of times you don't know what you want. But then you narrow when they're silent, and they're like, what do you want in the next year? What do you want in the next 90 days? Like, this business is something we lever. You trade your time and your talent for cash so that you can go trade that cash for what you want. So we might as well make it the direct route possible by setting a target for what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then, team members will be shy, be like, but this is your business. You mean I can want things too? Like, absolutely.
You need to.
Yeah.
That's how business works, is people trading their time and their talent for a common goal.
Sure. Is that goal purpose? Like, how do you, how are you casting the vision for your team?
For us, we want to do 175 turnkeys, and we want to do 150 wholesales this year. And, in our annual planning, I showed them how they'll be comped. And then I asked them, what do you want to do with this comp? Most of my team has kids, so it's a big thing to get there making enough money to comfortably educate their children.
Mm-hmm. Like for college and stuff? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like that. I think so. So is it? So obviously you're a pretty direct individual just when you talk in general. So is that how your team, is your entire team built the same way? Or are they how do you manage different personalities, I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
So two on my leadership team is two of the guys are former West Point guys too. So it's very simple and easy for me to communicate with them. Mm-hmm. But then my EA Christy, she's more direct than me. And my property manager, Rhonda, she's the most caring individual I've never seen somebody play on a team that's more concerned with making sure her team succeeds. So,
Nice.
you know, you got to treat everybody like an individual. It's a lot more fun that way.
Yeah, everyone's different. You know, you can't treat the same person, the West Point guys, like you would treat that property manager.
Right.
You know.
And then when I don't get treated like a West Point guy and I get babied, like this is what I hated about corporate America. Like when I got treated like a cog in a machine, like the juvenile in me like would rise up and like do everything I could to be like, no, you have to treat me different. And then people know you're bullshitting too.
Yeah. 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 They can see right through it. Like, oh, this guy's just fucking full of shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's fair. So
you built the team.
okay.
You're at 25 people now. Let's break it down. What are those 25 people doing?
So we got four. We got the different departments. So we got property management. We got the flipping company. We have the construction company. We have the wholesaling company. And then I don't know if you guys have found this yet, but do you want to know what one of the worst things about making money is?
Paying taxes?
What?
Well, that sucks too, but you're in real estate, so you really shouldn't be paying much. But like this was mind-boggling to me when we started doing really well. It's like I have to pay a bunch of people to now count my money.
Oh, counting.
Like so I don't lose all it. So like we have 4 people in the accounting department.
Shoot.
What do they all do? The bookkeeper
for each department, and then a comptroller tying all the books together.
Yeah.
Interesting. I bet you it's a lot on the property management side.
Yeah. So the most labor intensive business is the property management side.
Okay. So let's go into that. So you said you started it around 2016,
Yeah.
What was it around? So you started it. What did it look like then? I mean, you were just self-managing your 60 units within that company. And then now where's it at?
We're at 560 units.
God bless.
So it started with our first VA, Liz. She was our property manager. She's still with us. She's awesome.
Big Lizzie.
Liz.
Yeah. So it started with like Liz answering the phones and like, I'd say we're at like Vreeland Capital iteration 3.0. Like everybody who started with us, either quit or let go as we got better and they didn't want to stay with the intensity. And so we've had like this current team in place for probably 18 months to 2 years.
That's good. And you feel like that, like at that point, you've leveled up enough to shed through the people who don't fit. And now you got a team who fits.
Yeah, that was the most shocking thing as like the journey goes. Is like a bunch of people in the beginning, like we ended up, I didn't hire right. I didn't know how to hire right. But, they either left or quit. But like the worst experience is like the first time I had to let somebody go who I really liked. And she just, she couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And so, it sucked. We're still friends, but we had to let her go.
What do you mean she couldn't keep up? Like she didn't want to grow mindset-wise?
Yeah. So she was in charge of the accounting department, and cognitively, she couldn't keep up with the complexity of the buying and the selling and the retaining of assets. Gotcha. Like I really liked that person, and it sucked.
Yeah. So it gets pretty complicated on that side. What were you gonna ask?
Where are you at now, Jimmy? So I mean, you're at 500 plus units management. You started out with Liz from, I'm guessing, the Philippines. So now, what does your team look like?
So right now, that property management, we got Rhonda, the property manager. Then we have the leasing manager. We have the person who does all the maintenance calls, dispatches all the maintenance calls. And then so everything direct, because I want the team in deep work during the day. So any incoming call, incoming text, incoming email is answered. Each person has a EA in the Philippines.
Nice.
Kind of heading that part.
Nice.
I like that.
And I like so that. What are you guys charging, Jimmy?
8 to 10%, depending on the deal.
So that's that nice passive income coming in. I know we talked about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's 3 things in the world that, you can win 4 ways, where you can win with appreciation, cash flow, leverage, and taxes. And it's your own business, real estate, and then actually life insurance policies. That's a topic for different podcasts, but like that was a shocking thing to me. I was like, this is awesome. Property management is like a passive asset. It's not exactly passive. I still got to lead and manage and coach.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like I'm answering any of the phones like back in the day.
Yeah.
I like that. Chandler, what were you going to say?
Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask, you said you hired a bunch of the people like as you started growing and they just couldn't keep up or they weren't the right fit. Like, what are some of the things that you noticed for the people who didn't stay? Like, why didn't it stay?
They, like that conversation we had earlier, they didn't want to be held accountable to the level of performance the business was going to require. And so they just opted out, just say, hey, Jimmy, I'm not up for this.
Like, you were pushing the pace, and they
somebody last year is like, hey, we're going to double again this year, and they're just like, hey, I'm not up for another year of that. And I was like, I understand, but like, you got to understand, I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying to do it. I want to triple.
Yeah. And it was just like, hey, well, this is just when we part ways, and thank you for everything you did for the business.
Yeah, exactly. Is that how it went down?
Sure,
yeah.
So, like, how did that conversation come up? Because I'm kind of like, I just am curious too. Is like, did someone just literally just come to you, or like, did you like spark it up, or was it just like you knew it was going to happen? Like, I'm curious, like, how that entire thing unfolded.
Yeah. Do you guys do the EOS, like 555 quarterly conversations?
The 555. I'm not familiar with that terminology. We might do something similar, but I'm not familiar. If you could explain that.
Yeah. So, like, I guess as we're having this conversation, like, we have a quarterly conversation with every team member where we go through their roles, show how they did on their rocks. And then we ask GWC, do you get your job? Do you want your job? Do you have the capacity to do your job? And twice I've had, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Once, it's exciting at the beginning of the year, quarter, where you're dreaming big. Like in the military, it's exciting to say, hey, I'm going to jump out of planes and be a ranger and all this stuff. And then before you know it, you're in the middle of Afghanistan, you're in the mountains, you haven't showered for 2 weeks, and you're getting shot at. Like, it's a different, it's a different point of view. And so that'll happen in business. Like, coming to work for Jimmy, it's a lot of fun, and we're going to start on day one. But like midway through the quarter, it's like, we got to dig ourselves out of some problems here. I don't know if I'm ready for this level of intensity.
Yeah. Because in order to get better, you got to get uncomfortable and do more than what you're doing now. So,
yeah. And like, I promise every new team member, like, here's my one promise to you. You'll never be bored.
Yeah. There's always stuff to do. I like that.
I had another guy, man, you're making me remember all these quitting and firing stories. But my first
let's hear him.
Yeah, my first acquisitions guy, he oh my God, that sun's coming through my blinds. My first acquisitions guy, he like gets 10 deals. I don't remember whatever time, but this guy wasn't that ambitious, right? But I was just driving him. I was pushing him. And he's like, well, here it is. It's 10 deals. Is this enough? And I was just like, no, I'm just getting started.
That's month one.
Have you guys ever seen The Greatest Showman?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I've seen the previews, but I haven't watched it.
Well, there's a song where the refrain is never enough. And so before I said, no, I'm just getting started, I sat there silently like this. And then I pulled out my phone with Spotify, and then I just played that song for the guy.
God. And give it no regret.
Right then. He's like, I'm out. This guy's psycho.
But I mean, you guys are probably the same way. Like, you do something once well, and you're like, wait a minute. Maybe I can push it a little farther. Maybe I can push a little harder.
All the time.
For sure.
That's like, and it's always the balance of like, when do we when is it okay to like release a little bit off the gas versus just keep that shit on the floor?
Yeah. And I have found, I got a little more experience under my belt, but I have found that always keeping the pedal to the metal is actually a lot of fun. Like, sure, there's bad days, there's horrible days, but like, it's much more fun to be running around with your hair cut off. You're like, I love going to bed tired.
Yeah.
Feel like you did a bunch.
Yeah. Like, you get 24 hours. It's every day. It's a blessing. It's a gift. Like, it's so much more fun to play the game, maximizing those hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, do you like, is it what gives you more of an adrenaline rush, driving 100 miles an hour or driving 30?
Right. Because
that
was my biggest fear about getting out of the Army, is that I'd be bored.
Mm-hmm. Well, so do you think, like, what keeps you not being bored? Is it the progress?
Yeah, it's competing with dudes like you. Not competing, but like, I'm like, wait a minute, those guys have figured that out. Maybe I can figure that out. I call it I talk about CG Select, the 4-minute mile effect.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys put everything up on the MLS. Maybe I can put everything up on the MLS, and just experimenting and tweaking and learning and seeing what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Have you done it yet?
Yeah, dude. As soon as I got home from the last meeting, like, we crushed it the last 2 months there. Like, it has been awesome.
Heck yeah.
I love that. That's what I like to see.
So let's talk about that, how we met, Collective Genius. When did you join CG?
End of 2017.
Okay, share with everyone your story, because you were the famous story that Leon likes sharing about CG.
Oh, yeah.
For people that do not know, which most of the listeners will when they come back and watch this, is Collective Genius, or CG, is a big mastermind. Some of the top real estate investors in the nation come out. There's 2 levels, Select and Premier, but all very high, high worth real estate investors that know a bunch of things. And we all come in, we all share, a give or something we're doing well in our business. And so, Jimmy, tell us about your first time going there.
So, especially coming out of corporate sales, like, I was all ego. Like, I had lost that ability to play on a team and be a little humble, right? And so, in your own local market, like, I had 100 rentals by the end of 2017. And of course, all my other corporate buddies were like, you have 100 rentals, you're awesome, right? And then everybody around town was like, 100 rentals, you're awesome. Even though there's no systems, no processes, like, I could have gone broke. But I thought I was pretty awesome, right? And so I thought I'd roll into CG, tell everybody what I knew. And then I just spent 3 days in a panic, just getting hammered, seeing all the gaps, seeing everything I wasn't doing, seeing everything I wasn't capable of. And just just that humbling experience is why I'll always be so grateful to Leon and Jason and that organization.
Humbled you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you seeing in there? What was the big thing? Do you remember anything in particular? Like, oh shit, you saw this one presentation, you're like, oh, I'm done.
Well, dude, every time I present, they're like, dude, you're gonna go broke with this strategy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like, they're like, you are a moron.
I see you going up there.
Like, dude, I would. If there's one thing why we went from 60 rentals to where we're at today, it's because of Collective Genius. Every time I'd run into a bump, I just ask them, like, what do I do? And then they tell me, and I would just go do it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
It's that easy. It's crazy. Like, I think I was having this conversation with someone the other day. It's like, if you want to be like, if you're not going to be the most successful person in the world, all you got to do is just do what other people did, and do that. Like, and it works. It's crazy how it just happens.
It's copy and paste. That's what Steve talks about.
Copy and paste.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to something my grandma told me. Like, I think it was like after like a great freshman football game I had where I thought I was super awesome. And like, my grandma was like this little Irish Catholic, like, smart ass lady. And she's like, that's nice, Jimmy. But like, look, here's the bottom line. There's always someone out there who can kick your ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're never going to be the greatest business guy in CG, because whoever is that person this quarter won't be next quarter. So
exactly, yeah.
Someone's chasing them.
Yeah, but the greatest thing about that is, like, I prefer just to compare myself to who I was yesterday and get better there. And then wherever I want to get better at, there's somebody in that room who will tell you how to do it. It's like, it's so simple.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I think another thing too is it's easy to just solve problems, but like, how do you determine like what you need to fix? Like what holes are leaking the most out of the bucket?
Like, you guys have read Gary Keller, One Thing, right?
Yeah.
Chandler has. I gifted it to him, and he hasn't read it.
It's right here. It's actually right here. I'm about 60 pages through.
I mean,
2 years ago.
I mean, that book was mind changing. Like, whatever whatever could be the longest lever you pull on. That's what you do first. But so Gary Keller phrases it, what's the one thing you can focus on that makes everything else either easier or irrelevant?
Mm-hmm.
So I could have spent a bunch of time building a buyer's list, or I just put everything on the MLS. That was a big domino.
Yeah, that's a big domino. Saves a lot of time.
Yeah, that was the one thing.
Yeah. Do you think like the speed, like, because you're super, you've been really successful. Do you think a lot of it's like just the speed at which you take ideas and put them into action? Do you think that's like been a big attribute, like a big reason you're more successful faster than other people?
I don't have a lot of, like, I'm never going to be the smartest guy in a room. I'm never going to be a lot of certain things, but like, that is something I think from West Point. Like, if I commit to do something, like, it's like an integrity issue to me. Like, if I commit, like, I have to hold myself accountable to something I said I would do. So I'd say that's something I am pretty good at. And I think it does help.
Yeah. What do you think is like the biggest thing for you that's like made you successful?
Failing fast.
There you go. This goes with taking action fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as the older I get, realizing to stop listening to my ego, which has been one of the most soul-crushing experiences of my life.
What does your ego tell you that you have to ignore?
Especially when I was like your guys' age, like, holy shit, I could barely fit through a door because of my head was so big. Like comparing myself to other people, that I'm the best, everybody else sucks, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that big. I bet you when you became a ranger, you were feeling it.
I mean, now granted, you have to have some egotistical people to like be crazy enough to do some of that stuff. So it's not all bad, but like, I needed it back then, but it doesn't serve me or my family to get us where we need to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, I could muscle through Ranger school and jump out of planes because I knew chicks would dig it, right?
Yeah, you tell them that story, they're like, "Oh my god." Jimmy.
And at the end of the day, if you ask my wife, she's like, she dug that stuff. She loved it, so it was worth it.
It was worth it, baby.
That's right. It was worth it. Where would you be without it?
Exactly.
All right, so tell us a little bit about what's on your shirt right there. I'm curious to hear the details about that.
So CashFLow Tactics, the education company.
Yeah, let's hear about it. How did it start?
Yeah. So it just started with to really understand the value of owning a piece of real estate. Like, it's not simple. It's not easy. And especially when you have a bunch of information because you guys will never enter the corporate world, but like, dude, you have everybody in HR telling you have the only way you can succeed is to invest in your traditional financial plan. And like, I knew from my 2 rentals a year, and I knew from Rich Dad Poor Dad that just wasn't true. But it takes a lot in comparison to the stock market, it takes a lot to understand the value of rental real estate. And, my 2 partners in CashFLow Tactics, Ryan and Brad, like, after we started it, we were shocked on how much education it actually took for people to actually understand what they were doing. Like, I had the 60 rentals, but I didn't understand why it worked until Brad showed me the math. Like, he's like, "Do you understand why this works?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because Kiyosaki said it would." He's like, "No, dude." He's like, "You have to look at the cumulative return of appreciation, cash flow, leverage, and tax advantages, and look at that internal rate of return." And that is why, so many real estate has been the greatest wealth creator in this country.
Interesting.
And so, because we were shocked, we're like, "Oh my God, people hang out with us for hour-long calls. We have an 80 video course." And we're like, people keep coming back for more. We're like, "Isn't this simple?" And the bottom line question is it's simple, but it's not simple because we have to uneducate so many people.
Yeah, exactly. Constantly educate.
Change their beliefs.
Yeah. And so CashFLow Tactics, it's a mastermind as well, but we come in, it's an 80 video course. You learn the value of real estate. Then as you move up the mastermind ladder, we just give different levels of implementation around your tax planning, your vaults, and your real estate.
Nice.
So I think the group right now has bought close to 2,000 units in like the last 3 years.
Gosh, yeah. So if you guys want to be a part of that,
yeah, there you
reach
go.
out to Big. How can they get a hold of you, Jimmy? We go at the end of it, but how can they join?
CashFlowTactics.com. Take our 5-day financial freedom challenge. So, because remember earlier, like I said, hey, we needed $7,500 a month to live comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so Kiyosaki, he would have like budgeting. I knew how much Susie and I were spending. And so I knew I had a target of how much cash flow I had to bring in to be financially free. And so when you start in CashFlow Tactics, we just help you kind of work out your strike number and show you a plan on how to get there.
Nice. So we know where to get there or where to go, cashflowtactics.com, and we'll make sure we'll bring it up again towards the end.
Yeah.
But
don't you have a podcast too that you do?
Yeah, and we have the Rise Up Live Free podcast. We're also on the Facebook and the Instagram, and I have one TikTok post. So
hey,
we might TikTok game.
Hey,
I was hyping you up on that TikTok. Did you see me?
I know.
That was so hot.
we gotta see some more. I'm excited to see you pop
anyway,
dude, that TikTok videos, they take forever.
You just gotta. What I learned is like now I just do the ones that are lead the VAs to do the long ones, and me just to handle the quick clickbait, cringy ones.
Yeah, I mean, Instagram's so easy. You just hit the button and talk.
Yeah.
Like Susie will be like in bed, like with her phone, like pecking away. I'm like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, she's like, "TikTok video." I'm like, "Holy."
You should just do your Instagram stories on TikTok and see what happens.
Can you do that?
Just save the video.
Okay.
Yeah, just do it a video and then post it later.
So I know we're in strategic coach, I'm having a meeting in like a week now. One of my 4. Can you talk about that and some of the things you learned? Because I'm trying to flow it back into pretty much, what we presented on in CG Select is like figuring out the who, not how. But what was some big takeaways you did with strategic coach?
Yeah. So what we still use is the impact filter. That's how we start our rocks. Have you guys gone over that yet?
Yeah, we began under impact filter.
Yeah, we still use impact filter. And then like the gap and the 80% approach, has he shown you that yet?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, get that book from them, 80% approach. And then they just put out that new book, The Gap and the Gain. Like I've already listened to that twice.
Okay.
But
what is that? That one's like the talent development book, right? Is that, if I remember from you.
I think it's 80 to 20 or whatever.
So the move fast is 80-20 solution. Gotcha. And then the gap and gain is about kind of how to be content as like a fast moving person, like we've been talking about. So you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah,
it's a brilliant concept. So I would argue the entire country is in the gap right now. And so as the human mind, it has ideals. Ideals are great. People are called idealists, right? And so ideals need to be used to inspire action, to start movement, and to start dreaming, right? It's basically you need ideals and goals to start generating movement and generate experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the future is just a mental construct. Can you measure against the future?
No, not really. Well, and if you project from the past.
Yeah. So the whole point of the gap is that if you want to be content as a business owner, really, if you want to be content as a human being, you have to measure backwards off hard empirical data that you already have. Because if you measure, an ideal is like a horizon. Every year or every EOS planning, we push our 3-year targets out farther, right? So like Chandler, on your 100-mile runs, if you're always running towards the horizon, do you feel like you're getting anywhere?
Definitely. If I'm only seeing the horizon and you don't see any surroundings, like I would feel like I'm just running on a treadmill. And
so if you look backwards and see where you started, you can actually see progress, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that's the whole point of the gap and the gain is always measure backwards, never measure against your ideals.
Gotcha. So like measure against what you've done in the past, like your baseline of like where you started, where you are now, how much you've done in the past in the same time.
So like at CG, for example, like I could I will always spend a little bit of time in the gap because I'm seeing like people doing phenomenal shit. And then I want to measure myself against them, right?
Yeah.
And like compare myself against them. And that's always the wrong answer. But now if I measure back to the dumb shit I was in 2017 when I walked in there, I'm always happy.
I'm like so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always happy when I measure back.
Yeah.
I see ideals. I see what I want to be in CG, and then that evokes action and planning. So hopefully
Gotcha.
I did.
So, okay. So you don't, so you don't, when you're looking forward and you see what other people are doing, like you see these guys doing, whatever, hundreds of deals a month or whatever it is, you say, man, that would be cool to do that. So let me see how I can get there. But then in reality, you're not like saying this is what man, I suck so bad because I'm not doing that. Because you're like, oh wait, 5 years ago I was doing this. I was just a piece of crap, and
there's a guy in CG that does 15. It's Western, whatever.
New Western.
New Western, yeah.
New Western does 15,000 transactions a year. That's 100 and change a month. So I would love
1,000 a month.
Yeah, I would love to see what they do. I would love to see their 400 mile because they prove it can be done. But I'm not going to sit there and compare myself to him because I'll be instantly not happy. I'll be anxious. I'll be ungrateful for the progress that I've made.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's like a pretty, like it's a complex concept because you have to have that thing in front of you that shows you like what's possible. Or like, because like otherwise it's like if you never had it, you would never be able to imagine it.
Well, yeah, ideals and targets and vision are magical. They're what make it fun. The only point is don't measure against them.
Yeah, I like that.
But don't get rid of them either because they're supposed to, like I said, they evoke emotion and action.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's pretty good.
Like, I think the whole world, like the whole society's in a gap right now because the malcontents in our society measure against some ideal that's never occurred in any country everywhere. And so since we don't measure up to our ideals, we're like, oh, this country sucks.
Yeah.
Where if you measure backwards to where we started from, like, it would kick ass America.
Yeah.
America.
Yeah. Like if we look back in the 1800s, like where we are now, it's like, dude, we've come a long ways.
Yeah, this is the greatest country on earth.
Yeah,
like so, like liberals measure against the ideal of what this country could be and will be, right? And then they're poopy pants because it's not there now. And then conservatives measure back from some false ideal that never occurred, and they see how we're short of how the founding fathers were. So then they're in the gap.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like saying, hey, there in 2022, there is no way you can't say that the human beings on this continent haven't made tremendous progress, and be grateful.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, for sure. I think so. Like, do you do that in every part of your life? Like, I'm assuming that's where you can apply it to anything. Your relationships.
Dude, like once again, you're too young for this, but you got to your kid.
You got what?
Because that's how that's how you see the weird parents who crush their kids with their expectations.
Exactly.
Like, I think that's what happened.
God, they set unrealistic. They compared themselves, their kids, to like other people's kids or what they see in the movies. Yeah.
Instead of just comparing your kids to where they were 6 months ago.
Yeah, just seeing their progress. Yeah. So are you like, so for like these concepts, when you're reading these books and you come up with these ideas or like you gain these ideas and new like perspective, how do you share that with your team or like with people that you do life with?
Like with the team, we do, maybe 2 trainings a month where I'll be like, hey guys, this is a cool idea. And I'll do like a little PowerPoint on it. So like my whole team knows the 80%. What's that?
Said the whole team, even like all 25 people in every company.
Yeah, we'll do a Zoom call.
Nice.
I like that. And then
especially the 80% approach, which shows you how to move fast. Like for some of our slow movers who get nervous and are perfectionists, like that was mind opening for them.
Like get it to 80% and then figure out the rest later. It's not gonna make that much of a difference because 80 is better than 0.
80% of the time, 80% is good enough.
Yeah. That's what Jocko says too. Is like, I think another thing that I got from Jocko is if someone comes up with an idea that's like, let's say 80% accurate, and you add in like the other like 10, 20% to make it like 90, 95% accurate, you just took away so much from your employee or from your team member, because they're going to think that's your idea when you did that. And it's not going to make any marginal difference.
Yeah, I mean, that's where, like, training my leadership team, like, I have to pull myself back. Like, let them do the first 80%. Let them figure it out. And then if I could add on, make it their idea, and if I could add on 5 to 7% of it, but it still has to be their idea. They maintain ownership in it.
Yeah.
And they're much more vested in it.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, then they're going to be busting their tails to get it in order.
Yeah, because if it's your idea and it doesn't work, it's like, oh, it was Chandler's bad idea. Bad job, boss.
Yeah, what an idiot.
Exactly. So one more thing before we go. We got 4 minutes left here. Jimmy, can you talk about, because I don't know if you did this purposely as well, but will you introduce me to your trainer, or what's the name again? I don't know how I use it, but I don't even remember his name.
Yeah, Kevin.
Kevin, that's right. Big Kevin. So talking about like the who, not how, because that's what I looked at. I'm like, dang, so I want to get better. I want to be more, have a better diet. I want to look better so I can beat Jimmy.
Should I flex for your audience so they can see the results?
I can't do it now. Let me wait till CG. Wait till CG. I'm doing it for the basketball. So
okay.
I can.
Let's go so he can dunk. He's going to be trying to dunk up there.
Okay.
Just so I can foul harder. But
okay.
No. So tell me about it. Like, is that big for you in the who, not how, like, and everything? Because that's what I've been really focusing on,
I'm getting better at who, not how. Because I'm fire ready aim that I like to just jump into things, but I'm getting better.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think I look at Kevin as a big, who, because all those meal plans and stuff like that. Like, there's no way I was going to spend time to figure out how can I get 2,300 calories in.
Yeah, and just like I'll pay for a coach any day of the week. That's the easiest money to spend.
Yeah, exactly. That was a big thing I wanted to give the listeners when they're coming back here. I got it from you, Big Kevin.
I should do that too.
Kevin, it's Kevin Ford. His Insta, you can learn a lot from.
I don't even think I follow him on Insta.
You think he'd be helpful for me with ultra running, Jimmy?
No, he's straight up not powerlifting. He's straight up just trying to get shredded.
Jacked. Okay.
When I started working with him, I used to run a lot more, and he's like, if you want to look jacked, you can't run.
What do you think about Nick Bear?
I mean, honestly, the interesting thing, when I started running, I got stronger.
Well, yeah, you're also your old man strength hasn't come in yet.
You got them lats in that back.
Yeah.
I'll let him know you guys put him up on the pot. I mean, dude, that dude's yoked.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's
you got the lats.
We do, Chandler. Your old man strength. Both of your guys. Your old man strength hasn't come in yet.
I know that's true.
I gotta get. It's
Chandler. You didn't even lift weights. How do you know you got stronger?
Well, I can still do 9. I did 95s for sets of 8 on incline the other day on the bell.
Like, dude, when you turn 25, you'll just start crushing weight, not even trying. It's like
so Jimmy,
your
when
old man strength comes in.
It was weird. So when I started running, I went from like not running at all to running like 20 miles a week, and my bench went from like 275 to I hit 315 in like 2 months.
But weren't you doing like nothing before?
I mean, I was working out every day. Actually, I didn't change anything.
That's interesting. Yeah,
it's crazy.
That 22-year-old frame, you can do anything to it, and it'll respond.
Yeah. Well, I started doing full body. That's actually what I started doing. So I would do the same exercise 5 days a week.
I said it sounds like some fake news coming.
Shit. I got the video to prove it. Gino was spotting me.
I had to help him out on it. I think at the end of the day, my boy Kevin's jacked as hell, so he's helping the boys out.
He is a machine.
Yeah.
But
how's jiu-jitsu been for you though, in your physique, Jimmy?
It's good.
Jiu-jitsu Jimmy.
Jiu-jitsu Jimmy. I got to keep it tight for Susie. I don't want her getting the wandering eye.
That's right. You gotta keep her locked in.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep it going.
Right.
All right.
Keep the geese
That's
fed.
Right. So we're at the hour. Gino, you want to close us out?
Yeah. So guys, Jimmy, how can they get a hold of you again? Can you repeat some of your your mediums, as well as what your education podcast?
Yeah, just so go to CashFLow Tactics on Facebook, DM me there, or just go to Jimmy Vreeland on Facebook and the Insta.
And the TikTok.
And the TikTok.
And the TikTok.
Like my second post when I put it out in 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Oh, heck yeah.
So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I know a lot of you guys are going to be watching the recording here. So if you guys want to reach out, make sure to get a hold of Big Jimmy. If you got any questions, leave them down below. And if they're for Jimmy, we'll make sure to let them know. But thanks again, Jimmy, for coming on.
Yeah, fellas.
Appreciate you, Jimmy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Right here.
See you in a couple of weeks, right?
Thank you for your service.
Snap that salute down, boys.